Coming up next on Fifth Row Center, Broadway's newly crowned kings and queens are enjoying their reign this summer. We look at why their shows are worth the trip into Times Square. And Schmigadoon stumbled its way into Broadway's biggest prize. Do you need to refresh your musical theater history to get the jokes, or can anyone walk in and have a great time? Find out in my review. And after wrapping her third year as the Tony's Act 1 host, Tony-winning musical star Laura Benanti takes her act on the road and asks, does anyone care?
Your one-woman show is entitled Nobody Cares. Well, we care. And
We're talking Tonys. Fifth Row Center is next.
Broadway Broadcasting presents Fifth Row Center, the secret to Broadway's best seats in the house. Roma Torre, three-time Emmy Award-winning journalist and acclaimed theater critic, returns to television to reprise her signature theater reviews and exclusive insights. Plus, she brings us inside the 2025-2026 live theater season. And we bring you into the conversation with our exclusive live interactive roundtable. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for details. Join Roma Torre in the best seat in the house. This is Fifth Row Center.
Walking out of Radio City Music Hall holding a Tony statue means you're now theater royalty. And among the newly anointed, John Lithgow at 80 is a giant. Attention must be paid. Laurie Metcalf is crowned again. And the Queen with a W is the belle of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jellicle Ball. We look at how it all played out. Plus, Pink ruled the Tonys so completely she left us wondering, is she Broadway's next heir, waiting to fly in from the wings? Hello, I'm Roma Torre, host of Fifth Row Center, the talk show about live theater with a mission to make sure you always have the best seat in the house. In this episode, we're talking Tonys. This year's Tony-winning cohort is discovering the true power behind the prize, the doors it opens, and the impact on their career. We look back at what the ceremony got right and where it missed the mark. But first, from Broadway to the West End to Los Angeles, here's what's happening in theater news. Want to see a show before everyone else is talking about it? Summer theater festivals are where new work often gets its first real audience, long before a title moves to a bigger stage. The New York Theater Festival is spotlighting new plays, musicals, one-acts, shorts, and solo pieces, including Cues, a 30-minute one-act by Julian Shatkin, directed by Max Garfin and starring Jade Porchatti and Michael McBride. Cues takes us backstage opening night of the show in that supercharged moment theater people know so well. The butterflies, the deep breaths before the entrance, the strange little ritual of getting into character and waiting for the cue that sends you into the light. Performances are June 3rd, June 5th, and June 7th at Teatro C, 107 Suffolk Street, as part of the New York Theater Festival, which features new plays, musicals, one-act shorts, and solo performances. If your summer wish list includes Shakespeare, fans of Shakespeare in the Park now have more ways to try for those free tickets at the newly renovated Delacorte Theater in New York Central Park. The classic box office line is still happening, with day of tickets distributed at noontime on performance days. But now there's a standby line, as well as distribution sites all around the boroughs, along with an in-person lottery at the Public Theater located at 425 Lafayette Street, and the Today Tix digital lottery. Today Tix also lists same-day lottery entries for standard senior 65+ and ADA accessible tickets. And for details, you can visit publictheater.org. If space is what you crave, then check out the Adirondack Theater Festival in Glens Falls, New York at the Charles R. Wood Theater. Their 32nd season opens June 17th with Job, Max Wolf Friedlich's psychological thriller, followed by Trapped, Mother-Daughter, Father-Son, and a free outdoor family production of The Rainbow Fish, and that beloved Broadway musical, Come From Away. June 1st is the ticket date to watch for one of the country's landmark Black Theater events. The International Black Theater Festival returns to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, July 27th through August 1st. Founded in 1989 with Maya Angelou as its first chair, the festival happens every other year, making this summer's return a major moment on the theater calendar. Known as Black Theater Holy Ground, it brings together productions, staged readings, films, storytelling, youth programming, vendors, community events, and theater artists from all across the country and beyond. Ahead on Fifth Row Center, did you know there's a ceremony before the big broadcast? Tony-winning actress Laura Benanti has hosted Act One 3 times, and we catch up to her and hear what she's doing now. Coming up. Plus, the musical Schmigadoon is a theater geek's delight, but does it mean the jokes don't land with everyone else? My review, coming up. But first, in Broadway Unscripted, we're talking Tonys. The day after the ceremony, we held an open roundtable to discuss the highs and lows of the night. The full 105-minute chat is on our YouTube channel. But here are some of the highlights.
Broadway, unscripted, live and on the beat.
Radio City Music Hall was filled to the rafters with all the razzle-dazzle of Broadway's biggest night. And today there is a new class of theater royalty. Who's wearing the crown? Who got snubbed? And which shows now have the hardware to support their ticket prices? I'm Roma Torre, the host of the live theater talk show, Fifth Row Center. This is our special Broadway Unscripted Talking Tonys episode. The 79th annual Tony Awards ceremony is now history. It's in the books. The 26 competitive categories have been decided, and we are breaking it all down for you. We are going to bring on the theater insiders throughout this broadcast. Right now, I want to introduce our Patrick Pacheco of Theater, All the Moving Parts on CUNY TV, Elisa Gardner and Melissa Rose Bernardo. These are, full disclosure, my colleagues at New York Stage Review, and Joel Crump of News 12, the youngest theater reporter ever in history. He just turned 18. He's got a pack of followers, and I can't wait to introduce you to Joel because he is a star in the making. Everyone, it was a great show last night. I have to say, I was surprised about Pink, first of all. She did a very smart thing. She acknowledged, what am I doing here? And I didn't expect her to be so good. She was phenomenal. What were your thoughts? Melissa, let's start with you.
I think that was everyone's reaction, right? Like, Pink, what is she? But I think the best Tony's host is like a theater fan, like a total fan. And that's what she was. And that's what we all are. And that's what every, Tony host should be. Like, they should love theater, like, unabashedly. And that came across immediately. So I love that about her immediately.
Yeah. By the way, I understand Jesse Green from the New York Times has just joined us. Are you there, Jesse? There you are. Great.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Hi, Jesse.
Hello, old friends and new one. Joel, nice to meet you.
Jesse, we were just talking about Pink and what a surprise she was as a host, considering she really doesn't have any direct Broadway connection. But I was just blown away by her. And I saw in the New York Times this morning some reactions from you and your fellow reporters and colleagues and critics at the Times. And you were really impressed, weren't you?
I think she has the really great credential that may be more important than having been on Broadway. As Melissa said, that she's a Broadway lover. She's the mother of a Broadway fanatic child.
Yeah.
And I think she represents a point of view on the theater that is really helpful for reaching out to an audience that is declining for both television and theater. That says, people who, you don't need to be an insider to love this form and to get excited about it. Plus, she just sang really well when she did her number, and she shimmied like the best of them, and she told a good joke. She was really pretty much perfect. The material wasn't always, but she was.
Yeah, she was a real natural, and also when we saw her do all that jazz, and she was, doing the Fosse moves, she was singing, and she fit right in. And I wrote down in my notes, sign that girl up, get her in a show post haste. She's amazing. How about you, Patrick? What were your thoughts? What's the headline of the night for you?
Well, and I totally agree with everything that you said about Pink. And I thought that in terms of the entire evening, it was both Broadway playing it safe and also Broadway playing it radically as well. It was sort of fascinating that you ended up with Schmigadoon and Ragtime. Schmigadoon could be the best of 1965. And Ragtime, of course, made up for a lot of lost time, having lost the Tony in 1997 and then a revival not winning as well. But this revival came through a lot. But I think overall, it was a very gay, trans evening. And on that score, I thought it gained a lot of points for being on topic and a big screw you to the Trump administration.
Well, let's get to the politics in a minute, because I had some thoughts as well. But Elisa, what was your headline of the night?
With Pink, I think she did, having a pop star who's very down to earth, very relatable. She's got the chops to do it, and she's also very down to earth. Talking about her daughter, which was endearing, and I think motherhood. There was a lot of moms talking about their moms and their kids. I thought that was lovely in Casey Levy's acceptance speech for her performance in Ragtime. She said something to the effect of, "I may not be home with you each night to tuck you in, but a part of my heart is with you." It was lovely to see her win finally.
So let's bring in Joel. We have to introduce you because you are quite a phenom, young man. Just turned 18 years old. You're already working at News 12.
Yes.
What were your thoughts? And I think you mentioned to us, this is your 5th Tony Awards ceremony?
This is my 5th Tony Awards, on the carpet and in the media room. I thought last night was really a beautiful Broadway explosion. Thinking back on the season, I thought we had a really good season. And what I really enjoyed about last night was I felt that members of our community who have been a part of the Broadway community were really honored. Between Joshua Henry and Casey Levy and Shoshana Bean, all of those people had their first wins, which is kind of surprising to think about. And with people like John Lithgow, he's been a part of our community, like he said, for 5 decades now. Seeing him win last night was really exciting. And I think that everything that won deserved its win. And it was really exciting to see shows like Schmigadoon, like Ragtime, like Cat's Jellicle Ball get the awards that they deserved last night. Oh, there's me with Joshua. It was, even that moment with Joshua was so special, seeing someone who's been in our community for so many years. It's his 4th nomination, and he's really given knockout performances every time. He's finally receiving the win that he deserves. So it was quite an exciting night.
And wait, we're looking at you there with Andrew Lloyd Webber. You got a little funny laugh out of him. What did you ask him?
I don't even remember. Those carpets go by so quick, but I think the whole scenario was quite funny because I had Andrew Lloyd Webber, Shaggy, and Sting. And when you think of an interview on the Tony's red carpet, that's not the first thing you think of. So I was just trying to, get them all to give me some kind of bite. And, Shaggy was talking about the show that him and Sting are doing. And Andrew was just talking about Cats and Evita and Sunset Boulevard. I really admire what Andrew Lloyd Webber has done in the past few years with his work, allowing his work to be reimagined and shown in new ways. It's very exciting for me as a young theater goer. Last season, my friends and I were so impressed by Sunset Boulevard. This season, again, with Cat's Jellicle Ball, and I'm very much looking forward to Evita next season.
It was such a total reinvention that's why I thought a lot of people thought that it would win, because if you take the category of best revival, it's something that is brought new to the play itself or to the musical itself. And how do you make it more contemporary for a 2026 audience, which I think Cats of the Jellicle Ball did, and something that Ragtime was something of a faithful replica of what we had seen before, although with great stately elegance.
Are any of you surprised by who won? I mean, to me, the big surprise was I really thought that Nathan Lane had it in the bag. And I know that John Lithgow was very highly regarded and everybody loved the performance, but Nathan did something that was kind of unexpected because he's built a whole career and a reputation on being funny and musical, and yet he tackled this incredibly dramatic role and made it his own. And so I was surprised. Were you all expecting that it would be John Lithgow? How about you, Melissa?
I feel like it really was a toss up. Either of them could have won. In some ways, I think it might have come down to like Nathan won more recently, and people thought, well, and I feel like didn't John Lithgow say like this might be his last Broadway show or something to that effect, or his last big sort of.
He told me that in a profile I did of him, and he didn't just say it the way actors say it. He's 80. He's got a 7-year commitment to the Harry Potter series.
Yes.
He's just, realistically speaking, he doesn't see how he would be able to drop in a show during the next few years. And by the time he's 87, who knows? In our poll, that Michael Paulson conducts every year of voters, they were pretty much tied. So it wasn't a surprise to me. The big surprise to me was Andre DeShields not winning. And perhaps that's just a sentimental or emotional response of mine.
But you never know, because I'm sure at 80, June Squibb probably thought she would be on Broadway again.
Spring Chicken.
And 16 years later or something like that. I think in terms of the race itself, I thought, like you, Roma, that Nathan Lane had it in the bag.
Yeah.
And I think just going from a degree of difficulty, just how difficult that role was, as opposed to John Lithgow, I thought was terrific. I thought Nathan brought so much more to the production, and he was never off the stage, or rarely off the stage. Yeah. So I thought he deserved it, and I was disappointed he didn't win.
There may have been, when people were voting, I think Death of a Salesman was such a popular choice in so many categories. That it wound up getting the most awards of any show, I think, right? They were both undeniably powerhouse performances.
Yeah.
What Elisa said were my thoughts as well. I thought that, when I saw John Lithgow and Giant, I was taken. It was incredible to me. Same with Nathan Lane's performance, and I think it was a thing of, well, if Death of a Salesman wins Best Survival, we have to give John Lithgow Best Actor, especially since Giant didn't end up taking Best Play as well. So I think it was also to acknowledge the work there, because personally, I really enjoyed Giant. I really, really enjoyed John Lithgow's performance. So I think it was also a way of not necessarily spreading the wealth, but acknowledging all of the work between different plays.
Yeah.
Well, Joel, I do think it was a spreading the wealth kind of evening. Right. If you look at the distribution of the awards, it was much flatter than usual. And other than Death of a Salesman, many of which awards were in the technical categories, it was pretty even across a great number of shows. And I think you could be right that individual voters, even though they don't communicate with each other and make a plan, could have said, well, I'm giving a few to this one. I'll give the big one to Death of a Salesman, so maybe I better spare my Best Actor vote for someone else.
It was very judicious across the board among the top nominated shows. Lost Boys won 4, Schmigadoon won 4, Ragtime won 4, The Salesman got the 6, and Cat's Jellicle Ball won 3. Everybody else got a single win.
Great conversation with a great panel. If you want to join in on our live panels, we have a bunch more coming up, including our episode titled Escena Latina, First Draft to Final Curtain, and Black on Broadway. Visit our website and our YouTube channel for details on when we're recording those episodes live so you can join in. We sincerely want to hear from you. As you just heard, there's some criticism out there about this season's Tony Award winner for Best New Musical, Schmigadoon. Is it too campy, too niche, or will the person you dragged along enjoy it too? I saw it just before it won, and here's my review.
If you're going to parody Broadway musicals, you'd better know what makes them tick. And happily, Schmigadoon knows exactly what it's doing. That's why it won the Tony for Best Musical. Adapted from the beloved TV series, this exuberant production harkens back to the golden age of Broadway, lovingly skewering familiar conventions while simultaneously embracing them. The result, one of the cleverest and most entertaining musical comedies on Broadway in years. The story spoofs Brigadoon, the Lerner and Loewe musical about an enchanted village where magical things happen. Alex Brightman and Sarah Chase play a bickering couple who stumble into the mythical Schmigadoon, where they discover everyone breaks into song. Show creator Cinco Paul pulled a bravura hat trick, writing the book, music, and lyrics, and it's all meticulously crafted with wit to spare. Paul's melodies are both delightfully familiar and freshly original, and he clearly understands that effective satire begins with genuine admiration. Director-choreographer Christopher Gattelli balances affectionate homage with broad comedy. His inventive staging never loses sight of the story's emotional core, and his choreography is equally sharp, capturing the distinctive dance styles from so many iconic shows. The cast is exceptional. Everyone finds the sweet spot between sincerity and satire. Brightman singing just one song is sensational, ringing every possible laugh as the musical averse Josh Skinner. And Sarah Chase is equally sublime as his musical-loving girlfriend, Melissa Gimble. Amid all the cleverness lies a heartfelt message reminding us why these classic musicals have endured for generations. Beneath the corny spectacle, they're all about the transformative power of love and self-discovery. Schmigadoon will mostly appeal to musical theater fans. They'll be in heaven picking up on all the insider references. It's not a show for everyone, but even those who can't distinguish Rodgers from Hammerstein are likely to find themselves charmed and humming all the way home.
This whole show, we've been discussing the 2026 Tony Awards, but did you know some of the most important Tony Awards are not handed out on the CBS broadcast? Before the big show, there is Act One. It's a live pre-show on Pluto TV where major awards for book, score, choreography, orchestrations, lighting, costumes, and more are presented from the same stage, just not on the same big network. Hosting that hour for the third time was Laura Benanti, who audiences may know from Broadway and also Mayor of Kingstown, The Gilded Age, Life and Beth, Elsbeth on TV, or her unforgettable Melania Trump caricature on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Laura also just announced dates for her national tour of her one-woman show, Nobody Cares, a brutal title for a funny, sharp show about show business, motherhood, aging, public judgment, and learning which applause actually matters.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the topic no one can get enough of, the very thing everyone wants to talk about, perimenopause!
Your one-woman show is entitled Nobody Cares. Well, we care. And we are catching you right now as you are actually in rehearsal for the Tony Awards pre-show, Act One.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
And it's kind of like the technical Emmy Awards, but we give out some, major awards, the best book of a musical and choreography, all the things that really are completely necessary to put on a show, lighting design, sound design, orchestration, done it 2 other times. I feel like the job is to not take up too much time, but just have some really good punchy jokes in there.
We're doing this on the Friday before the Tony Awards, and it was only just yesterday that the announcement was made about your own tour with Nobody Cares.
Yes.
How'd that come about?
Audible contacted me, asked me if I wanted to do it. I said yes, but as I was writing it, I just kept thinking, nobody cares. There's so much truly happening in the world. Like, who needs a middle-aged white lady? Who needs that voice? Nobody cares. And then as I kept writing it, I thought, you know what? I have had a very specific life circumstances that not a lot of people have, and then other ones that so many women have. And it's been so gratifying to, go to Edinburgh, to go to London. We did it at Berkeley, California. This huge demographic of people, including husbands and boyfriends who were dragged there, who then come up to me after the show to say it's one of their favorite things they've ever seen.
I have been married now for 20 years.
You come across as a frustrated extrovert.
Just not to the same person.
As a highly entertaining therapy session. But not only for you, but for those of us who are identifying with all of the, the slings and arrows that you have endured.
My children are the final step in my people-pleasing recovery program. They are the nail in the coffin for needing everybody to like me all of the time and making everybody happy all of the time. My children will never be happy all of the time. One day my daughter turned to me and said, "This is the worst day of my life. We were at Disney World."
You are funny
you talk about being insecure a lot in those early days. That's what it was like, because you have so much talent. It's hard to believe that you wouldn't be so super confident.
It's truly an autobiographical story. And it's interesting because you don't have to like Broadway or even know anything about Broadway to enjoy it. It's not about Broadway. It's about my life, in which Broadway, factors in significantly. Mm-hmm. But for me, I started so young. I was 18 years old playing Maria in The Sound of Music. And I played so many ingenues, in particular ingenues written in the 1950s. And I talk about how I internalized a lot of that people pleasing, a lot of that and then she swooned, and how that I think subconsciously folded itself into my life and my behavior and the choices that I made. Mm-hmm. And then I talk a lot about motherhood and pregnancy and childbirth, and now perimenopause and aging and lessons learned.
For details on Laura Benanti's Nobody Cares tour, you can visit www.laurabenanti.com and Ticketmaster. And that is it for this episode of Fifth Row Center. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and notifications to get an alert for our next live roundtable. We'd love for you to join in the conversation. Until next time, I'll see you, Fifth Row Center.